The lion becomes the king of beasts.
Лев становится царем зверей.
The lion becomes the king of beasts. After climbing down from the China wall.
Спустившись с фарфоровой стены,
After climbing down from the China wall. The travelers found themselves in a disagreeable country.
путешественники очутились в неприятной стране.
The travelers found themselves in a disagreeable country. Full of bogs and marshes.
Полной трясины топий.
Full of bogs and marshes. And covered with tall, rank grass.
И покрытой высокой, вонючей травой.
And covered with tall, rank grass. It was difficult to walk.
Трудно было идти,
It was difficult to walk. Without falling into muddy holes.
не провалившись в грязные ямы,
Without falling into muddy holes. For the grass was so thick.
потому что трава была такой густой,
For the grass was so thick. That it hid them from sight.
что скрывало их из виду.
That it hid them from sight. However, by carefully picking their way.
Однако тщательно выбирая свой путь,
However, by carefully picking their way. They got safely along.
они благополучно продвигались вперед,
They got safely along. Until they reached solid ground.
пока не достигли твердой земли.
Until they reached solid ground. But here the country seemed wilder than ever.
Но здесь местность казалась еще более дикой, чем когда-либо,
But here the country seemed wilder than ever. And after a long and tiresome walk through the underbrush.
и после долгой утомительной прогулки по подлеску,
And after a long and tiresome walk through the underbrush. They entered another forest.
они вошли в другой лес,
They entered another forest. Where the trees were bigger and older.
где деревья были больше и старше,
Where the trees were bigger and older. Than any they had ever seen.
чем те, что они когда-либо видели.
Than any they had ever seen. This forest is perfectly delightful.
Этот лес совершенно восхитительный.
This forest is perfectly delightful. Declared the lion, looking around him with joy.
Заявил лев, радостно оглядываясь вокруг.
Declared the lion, looking around him with joy. Never have I seen a more beautiful place.
Я никогда не видел более красивого места.
Never have I seen a more beautiful place. It seems gloomy.
Кажется мрачным,
It seems gloomy. Said the scarecrow.
сказал страшила.
Said the scarecrow. Not a bit of it.
Нисколько,
Not a bit of it. Answered the lion.
ответил лев.
Answered the lion. I should like to live here all my life.
Я хотел бы прожить здесь всю свою жизнь.
I should like to live here all my life. See how soft the dried leaves are under your feet.
Посмотрите, как мягкие сухие листья под вашими ногами.
See how soft the dried leaves are under your feet. And how rich and green the moss.
И какой густой и зеленый мох,
And how rich and green the moss is that clings to these old trees.
облепившие эти старые деревья.
Is that clings to these old trees. Surely no wild beast.
Конечно, ни один дикий зверь.
Surely no wild beast could wish a pleasanter home.
Не мог бы пожелать более приятного дома.
Could wish a pleasanter home. Perhaps there are wild beasts in the forest now.
Возможно, сейчас в лесу водятся дикие звери.
Perhaps there are wild beasts in the forest now. Said Dorothy.
Сказала Дороти.
Said Dorothy. I suppose there are.
Я полагаю, что они есть.
I suppose there are. Returned the lion.
Ответил лев.
Returned the lion. But I do not see any of them about.
Но я не вижу их поблизости.
But I do not see any of them about. They walked through the forest.
Они шли через лес,
They walked through the forest. Until it became too dark to go any farther.
пока не стало слишком темно, чтобы идти дальше.
Until it became too dark to go any farther. Dorothy and Toto and the lion lay down to sleep.
Дороти, Татошка и Лев легли спать,
Dorothy and Toto and the lion lay down to sleep. While the woodman and the scarecrow.
а дровосек и Страшила
While the woodman and the scarecrow. Kept watch over them as usual.
как обычно, присматривали за ними.
Kept watch over them as usual. When morning came, they started again.
Когда наступило утро, они снова продолжили путь.
When morning came, they started again. Before they had gone far.
Не успели они уйти далеко,
Before they had gone far. They heard a low rumble.
как услышали низкий гул,
They heard a low rumble. As of the growling of many wild animals.
словно рычало много диких зверей.
As of the growling of many wild animals. Toto whimpered a little.
Татошка немного поскулил,
Toto whimpered a little. But none of the others was frightened.
но никто из остальных не испугался,
But none of the others was frightened. And they kept along the well-trodden path.
и они шли по протоптанной тропе,
And they kept along the well-trodden path. Until they came to an opening in the wood.
пока не вышли на опушку леса,
Until they came to an opening in the wood. In which were gathered hundreds of beasts of every variety.
в которой собрались сотни зверей всех мастей.
In which were gathered hundreds of beasts of every variety. There were tigers and elephants.
Там были и тигры, и слоны,
There were tigers and elephants. And bears and wolves and foxes.
и медведи, и волки, и лисы,
And bears and wolves and foxes. And all the others in the natural history.
и все остальные, естественно.
And all the others in the natural history. And for a moment Dorothy was afraid.
И на мгновение Дороти испугалась.
And for a moment Dorothy was afraid. But the lion explained.
Но Лев объяснил,
But the lion explained. That the animals were holding a meeting.
что животные собрались на собрание,
That the animals were holding a meeting. And he judged by their snarling and growling.
и по их ворчанию и рычанию он понял,
And he judged by their snarling and growling. That they were in great trouble.
что они в большой беде.
That they were in great trouble. As he spoke.
Пока он говорил,
As he spoke. Several of the beasts caught sight of him.
несколько зверей заметили его,
Several of the beasts caught sight of him. And at once the great assemblage hushed.
и тут же огромная толпа затихла,
And at once the great assemblage hushed. As if by magic.
как по волшебству.
As if by magic. The biggest of the tigers came up to the lion.
Самый большой из тигров подошел ко льву,
The biggest of the tigers came up to the lion. And bowed, saying.
и, поклонившись, сказал,
And bowed, saying. Welcome, O King of Beasts.
«Добро пожаловать, царь зверей!
Welcome, O King of Beasts. You have come in good time to fight our enemy.
Вы пришли вовремя, чтобы сразиться с нашим врагом,
You have come in good time to fight our enemy. And bring peace.
и принести мир
And bring peace. To all the animals of the forest once more.
всем лесным животным еще раз.
To all the animals of the forest once more. What is your trouble?
В чем ваша проблема?
What is your trouble? Asked the lion quietly.
Тихо спросил лев.
Asked the lion quietly. We are all threatened.
Нам всем угрожает.
We are all threatened. Answered the tiger.
Ответил тигр.
Answered the tiger. By a fierce enemy.
Свирепый враг,
By a fierce enemy. Which has lately come into this forest.
который недавно пришел в этот лес.
Which has lately come into this forest. It is a most tremendous monster.
Это ужасное чудовище,
It is a most tremendous monster. Like a great spider.
похожее на огромного паука,
Like a great spider. With a body as big as an elephant.
с телом размером со слона,
With a body as big as an elephant. And legs as long as a tree trunk.
и ногами длиной со ствол дерева.
And legs as long as a tree trunk. It has 8 of these long legs.
У него 8 таких длинных ног,
It has 8 of these long legs. And as the monster crawls through the forest.
и когда чудовище ползет по лесу,
And as the monster crawls through the forest. He seizes an animal with a leg and drags it to his mouth.
он хватает животное ногой и тащит его в рот,
He seizes an animal with a leg and drags it to his mouth. Where he eats it as a spider does a fly.
где съедает его, как паук муху.
Where he eats it as a spider does a fly. Not one of us is safe.
Никто из нас не в безопасности,
Not one of us is safe. While this fierce creature is alive.
пока живо это свирепое существо,
While this fierce creature is alive. And we had called a meeting to decide.
и мы созвали собрание, чтобы решить,
And we had called a meeting to decide. How to take care of ourselves.
как позаботиться о себе.
How to take care of ourselves. When you came among us.
Когда ты появился среди нас.
When you came among us. The lion thought for a moment.
Лев задумался на мгновение.
The lion thought for a moment. Are there any other lions in this forest?
Есть ли в этом лесу еще львы?
Are there any other lions in this forest? He asked.
Спросил он.
He asked. No, there were some.
Нет, были некоторые.
No, there were some. But the monster has eaten them all.
Но чудовище съело их всех.
But the monster has eaten them all. And, besides.
И кроме того,
And, besides. They were none of them nearly so large and brave as you.
никто из них не был так велик и смел, как ты.
They were none of them nearly so large and brave as you. If I put an end to your enemy.
Если я покончу с вашим врагом,
If I put an end to your enemy. Will you bow down to me?
вы склонитесь передо мной
Will you bow down to me? And obey me as king of the forest?
и подчинитесь мне как королю леса,
And obey me as king of the forest? Inquired the lion.
спросил лев.
Inquired the lion. We will do that gladly.
Мы с радостью сделаем это,
We will do that gladly. Returned the tiger.
ответил тигр.
Returned the tiger. And all the other beasts roared with a mighty roar.
А все остальные звери заревели могучим ревом.
And all the other beasts roared with a mighty roar. We will.
Да,
We will. Where is this great spider of yours now?
где сейчас ваш огромный паук?
Where is this great spider of yours now? Asked the lion.
Спросил лев.
Asked the lion. Yonder, among the oak trees.
Вон там, среди дубов,
Yonder, among the oak trees. Said the tiger, pointing with his forefoot.
сказал тигр, указывая передней ногой.
Said the tiger, pointing with his forefoot. Take good care of these friends of mine.
Позаботьтесь о моих друзьях.
Take good care of these friends of mine. Said the lion.
Сказал лев.
Said the lion. And I will go at once to fight the monster.
И я немедленно пойду сражаться с чудовищем.
And I will go at once to fight the monster. He bade his comrades goodbye.
Он попрощался со своими товарищами.
He bade his comrades goodbye. And marched proudly away to do battle with the enemy.
И гордо отправился на битву с врагом.
And marched proudly away to do battle with the enemy. The great spider was lying asleep.
Огромный паук спал.
The great spider was lying asleep. When the lion found him, and it looked so ugly.
Когда его нашел лев, и выглядел он так уродливо.
When the lion found him, and it looked so ugly. That its foe turned up his nose in disgust.
Что его враг с отвращением вздернул нос.
That its foe turned up his nose in disgust. Its legs were quite as long as the tiger had said.
Его ноги были такими же длинными, как и сказал тигр.
Its legs were quite as long as the tiger had said. And its body covered with coarse black hair.
А тело было покрыто жесткой черной шерстью.
And its body covered with coarse black hair. It had a great mouth.
У него был большой рот.
It had a great mouth. With a row of sharp teeth a foot long.
С рядом острых зубов длиной в фут.
With a row of sharp teeth a foot long. But its head was joined to the pudgy body.
Но его голова была соединена с пухлым телом.
But its head was joined to the pudgy body. By a neck as slender as a wasp's waist.
Шеей, тонкой, как осиная талия.
By a neck as slender as a wasp's waist. This gave the lion a hint.
Это подсказало льву.
This gave the lion a hint. Of the best way to attack the creature.
Как лучше всего атаковать существо.
Of the best way to attack the creature. And as he knew.
И поскольку он знал.
And as he knew. It was easier to fight it asleep than awake.
Что бороться с ним спящим легче, чем бодрствующим.
It was easier to fight it asleep than awake. He gave a great spring.
Он сильно прыгнул.
He gave a great spring. And landed directly upon the monster's back.
И приземлился прямо на спину монстра.
And landed directly upon the monster's back. Then, with one blow of his heavy paw.
Затем одним ударом своей тяжелой лапы.
Then, with one blow of his heavy paw. All armed with sharp claws.
Вооруженный всеми острыми когтями.
All armed with sharp claws. He knocked the spider's head from its body.
Он сбил голову паука с его тела.
He knocked the spider's head from its body. Jumping down.
Спрыгнув вниз.
Jumping down. He watched it.
Он наблюдал за ним.
He watched it. Until the long legs stopped wiggling.
Пока его длинные ноги не перестали шевелиться.
Until the long legs stopped wiggling. When he knew it was quite dead.
И тогда он понял, что он совершенно мертв.
When he knew it was quite dead. The lion went back to the opening.
Лев вернулся на опушку.
The lion went back to the opening. Where the beasts of the forest were waiting for him.
Где его ждали лесные звери.
Where the beasts of the forest were waiting for him. And said proudly.
И сказал гордо.
And said proudly. You need fear your enemy no longer.
Вам больше не нужно бояться своего врага.
You need fear your enemy no longer. Then the beasts bowed down to the lion as their king.
Тогда звери поклонились льву как своему королю.
Then the beasts bowed down to the lion as their king. And he promised to come back and rule over them.
И он пообещал вернуться и править ими.
And he promised to come back and rule over them. As soon as Dorothy was safely on her way to Kansas.
Как только Дороти благополучно доберется до Канзаса.
As soon as Dorothy was safely on her way to Kansas.